Again, thank you so much for all of you. Sorry, that was a bit abrupt. I will shout you all out, though. You all know Rich Rebar at Lord Reeves on Twitter with Sharp Football Analysis. Kate and Michelle Majuk at FF Ball Blast on Twitter and at Ball Blastum. They're great. I mean, I know that Kate is helping us out on Rotoworld this year as well. And now we enter Group 4 for rounds 13 through 16, and that will be Denny Carter, JJ Zacharyson, and Lauren Carpenter. Before we get there, I do want to remind you all again about our season-long tools and draft guide. That's rotoworld.com/edge. And I always keep forgetting to mention we have a free mock draft simulator that you can go and check out in there. Everyone, I don't think that the mock draft simulator will come up with a draft quite like this one. JJ, let me start with you, all right? Because you have the 101. Hello, everyone, by the way. Good to see you. I mean, life is easy after the Christian McCaffrey selection, but kind of take us through the construction of your roster so far. I know that's a big picture and a large question here, and your last two picks have been T.J. Hawkinson and Rob Gronkowski at tight end.
Yeah, so, I mean, at the 101 spot, you're generally looking at a situation, especially in a format like this, where wide receiver could become pretty dominant just given the scoring settings, and you're starting three wideouts. You have a couple extra flexes. I really looked at this and said, I'm going to get CMC as my anchor and probably just get a ton of wide receivers, given the fact that a lot of the folks that I'm drafting with are likely to go wide receiver heavy too. So I was really hoping for Kenny Golladay. I'm even wearing the Babytron shirt today. Was hoping for Golladay to drop, but ended up getting Chris Godwin and Adam Thielen. I think, Thielen, people might see that as a little bit of a reach over Juju or Allen Robinson or OBJ. I mean, I think most would have them in the same tier. I have Adam Thielen ahead of them, though, because he's one of the few guys that has that 150 target upside this year. I was going to continue to go with wide receivers, but then DK Metcalf and Hollywood Brown got sniped right before I got Jonathan Taylor, who I see as one of the few RB2s that I really care to draft this year. I think he just has that kind of upside. And then, just continued that wide receiver heavy build. And then now that I'm in the late rounds, I'm really just throwing darts. I feel fortunate to be able to get Hawkinson and Gronk as two tight ends that I could cycle through each week, hypothetically. And then, to back up the Jonathan Taylor at the RB2 spot, I have Tariq Cohen, Damian Harris, Darrell Henderson, and Duke Johnson, just guys who, could end up seeing more work in their split backfields than we imagine right now.
Well, 11 quarterbacks have gone off the board, JJ, and you and Denny are, I think, the only ones that have not selected a quarterback at this time. Denny, I mean, yes. Is it going to happen right here, right now, when you're on the clock?
It's most definitely not going to happen now. This is an exercise in branding overall.
Yes.
I'm like 20% kidding, but I'm trying to pile up as many backup running backs, as many guys that probably have a lock on the backup role on their respective teams, because as you may have seen, my running backs are on the weak side, and that's what happens when you go zero RB. So, that's been my goal here. I have Latavius, Pollard, AJ Dillon, Chase Edmonds. Those are all guys who I think would kind of fall into some volume if the starter on their team went down. And now, with the 154th pick, I'm going to take Benny Snell.
Oh, gosh. Let's not tweet out that clip of Benny Snell over at quarterbacks because, we might get buzzed for that. But, Denny, let me say this. One, you're welcome because I got to set this draft order, and I wasn't going to put you at the beginning like I did with JJ. I got to put you at the end because I knew the state of euphoria that you could come in with getting 4 wide receivers to start and then a streak of 6 running backs after that, which you just closed on. Is this heaven?
It is. I appreciate that. My eyes bulged when I saw I had the 10th pick, because it's just exactly where I want to be. It's not a pretty lineup. I will say that. I'm going to have to start James White and David Johnson, and the David Johnson pick was honestly one of the most nauseating things I've ever had to do. But eventually you have to start taking running backs, and I felt like he fell far enough, and he might see enough volume, if he can stay healthy this year. So I'm up again here, and I do kind of think that it might be time for a quarterback because I don't really see any other great zero RB targets. DeAndre Washington is one. There's some question as to whether he's been practicing, I think right now, which as a Rotoworld writer, you would think I would know. But I do not at the moment. So yeah, I mean, it might be time for quarterback. Let's see, I have 2 more bench spots and then the quarterback spot to fill. And no, we're shifting. I'm calling it off. We're not drafting around.
This is like a war of wits between you and JJ right now.
We're just playing chicken right now. I have 23 seconds to draft. I do need to pick someone eventually. So no, we are shifting to quarterback. Yes.
Okay.
No.
All right.
We're going quarterback. We're going with Cam Newton.
Okay, good.
We're going with Cam Newton in the 15th round. 14th.
Do you have anything positive to say about Cam Newton before I move on?
Anything positive?
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets to that 100+ rush seasons, that he used to have in Carolina, that might not be hateful. So
No.
That's the one positive.
All right. Well, we know that Denny and JJ have both been on this show quite often. This is the first time for Lauren Carpenter. Lauren, thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, let's run through some of your teams so far. You started off
Can
with
we just skip past those middle rounds? Just to talk about those first 4. And
so everyone has said that, that it's so funny. When we talk about the summer on shows, you want to avoid those running backs in rounds 4 through 6. Well, if it's 12 riders from the football universe, then someone has to take those running backs in rounds 4 through 6. But let's go run through your team. Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, and Keenan Allen, Michael Gallup, Hunter Henry, Russell Wilson, Emmanuel Sanders, Philip Lindsay, and then just, a bunch of shots that include Curtis Samuel and Randall Cobb and Blake Jarwin. Lauren, tell us about it. How do you feel?
Nervous. This is ridiculous. I had this whole plan ready to go, and I was like, I'm going to rule this draft. This is going to be great. I was having so much fun. Come round 6. I'm like, this is awful. I think you guys are too good at this. I can't. That's why we're all experts here. I say we. I just want to be cool because I'm literally on the same, recording as you. So I'm just going to pretend I'm as cool as y'all, but it's been fun. These are those fun rounds right now. I love being at the end where I'm just like, close your eyes, put their faces on a dartboard and throw. So, have a little bit of fun. I am glad I got to snag a little bit of Blake Jarwin, although someone took my Chris Herndon.
Yes.
Not happy about that either. But yeah, it's been cool. It's been fun. I don't particularly enjoy drafting from the middle very much. So
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't like drafting in the middle.
I apologize.
Strategies always just go straight down the toilet.
Well, let's talk about your first 3 picks, because you probably didn't head into this thinking that you were going to start off with 3 running backs. How did it happen?
No, that was just, why not?
Okay.
Why not try it out? Gosh. All right, how much time do I have here? Oh, I have a minute. Okay.
You have a minute. And I also want to apologize because, I told the last group this, that I thought stretching this to 16 rounds would allow some of you to come up and show some of your favorite late round selections. Then I realized that all of those are being selected in rounds 10 through 12. So I'll be fascinated to see who actually gets drafted in these final 2 or 3 rounds. Lauren, who are you going to go with here?
So I'm really happy with my running backs. I am happy with my tight ends. I'm happy with my quarterback here. So I'm going to continue to take some dart throws. So I'm going to go and get a little piece of that Bengals offense, just in case. Just in case. So I'm going to go ahead and take me some John Ross. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know if I like this, but you know what? It's a dart throw, so I'll take it. Why not?
Do you think the Bengals offense could be like Rams offense of a few years ago when it was Sean McVay's first year and he kind of unlocked all the pass catching weapons that they had there on a team that everyone thought the offensive line was going to be garbage?
I think it's a possibility. I don't usually like to rely on rookies very often, especially when it comes to a rookie quarterback. And in this weird abbreviated offseason we have, I'm not sure, but I don't want to miss out. So if I have a piece, they're just going to be stacking in my bench. So why not? Well, why not take a shot in case, AJ Green cannot stay healthy. He can't stay on the field. At least John Ross is there to be a little piece of that improved offense as well as improved offensive line. So we'll see. I'm curious.
Well, a few other picks in this round: Raquel Armstead, DeAndre Washington, Son Michel finally went off the board, Darrington Evans as well. JJ, we're about to come to you on the clock. Again, I mentioned that I was hoping we'd be able to highlight some favorite late rounders. I'm sure a lot of yours have already been selected, but is there anyone jumping to mind right now as you're about to hit the turn?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not a ton of guys that I'm like jumping for joy over right now. But I would say, one player that I have in my mind right now, now that I am officially up, and he's still on the board, is Steven Sims for Washington. They don't really have that number 2 right now. I do like Andy Golden. I think that there's some upside there for the rookie. And then I also am a Logan Thomas stan, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of role he can carve out for them. But we did see Sims, get sort of that high floor role in towards the end of last year. And really, I think a lot of people saw a lot of upside there, but it was just because he fell into some touchdowns. He had some touchdown fortune down the stretch. But this late in the draft, I mean, I'm really just shooting for upside. I'm looking to see if someone can carve out that role. And I think that, as poor as that Washington offense might end up being, there's a lot of ambiguity there, and that just drives down costs for a lot of these players, which is why I'm targeting a lot of the running backs this year in that backfield. I love Terry McLaurin, obviously, but I like Logan Thomas as a dart throw. He's still on the board, obviously, because no one's drafting Logan Thomas right now. But I'm going to go Steven Sims with this first one at the, what turn is this? The 15-16 turn or the 14-15 turn? Yeah. So I hadn't picked a wide receiver in a while after going pretty heavy wide receiver to start the draft. I'm going to continue to look at wide receiver here. A couple people are on my mind. I won't say them totally out loud, I guess, because I might try to get one of them in the next round. I might just play it
quarterback at some point, JJ. I mean,
I do, but I'm trying to show the people that you can wait and still get a good quarterback here, Josh. I mean, look, if you look at the quarterbacks on the board right now, you still have Tom Brady. You have Aaron Rodgers is fine, but I really like Jared Goff this year. Week 1, actually the first 5 weeks of the season, Jimmy Garoppolo has a great schedule, so I'd be fine with getting Jimmy Garoppolo and then streaming. So I'm really not that concerned with the quarterback position right now, and I know that I'm the last team to not select one. So I'm just going to wait and continue to wait, hoping that no one's taking backups, which I don't think that we will in a group like this. I'm going to go with someone who's old enough to be some of our fathers. I'm going to draft Larry Fitzgerald here. He's still going to have some sort of role in that Arizona offense. I think people just write him off because of his age, but he'll still see some sort of a role. You'd see a lot of 4 wide receiver sets there. Even though DeAndre Hopkins is there, Fitz should still carve out a 15 to 20% target share. As a bye week fill-in, he's not too bad.
Well, JJ, absolutely love it. That means your final pick, unless you just punt the position entirely, will be a quarterback in this draft.
That's right.
Denny, you've known JJ for a very long time. Is he being honest with us? Is this truly for the brand? I mean, you talk about at 8th-round quarterback. This is at final round quarterback here.
Right. Well, I've seen JJ take elite quarterbacks when they fall, and that's something that of course sets people ablaze on Twitter. And hey, how is the late round quarterback guy taking Mahomes or Jackson or whoever? And back in the day, it used to be Rodgers. I think JJ ended up with Rodgers some crazy value maybe 4 or 5 years ago before Rodgers was bad. And sorry, maybe that's too much, but but it is a situation where everybody is a value at some point in the draft, and obviously my co-host partner recognizes that. And I believe JJ, you were close to taking Lamar Jackson here, right?
I was, at that 4-5 turn, so the research that I've done shows that the elite quarterbacks, the Lamar Jackson, the Patrick Mahomes, that tier, they really in the middle of the 4th round is where I think that the opportunity cost, and what the research has shown is the opportunity cost isn't significantly high. A lot of people are taking them in the late 2nd, early 3rd. I'm out there, but if they drop to the mid 4th, it's a little bit more appetizing. But the problem is in a league like this, where people are drafting their quarterbacks later and later, you're not gaining that equity as you would in a normal draft if they're falling to the mid 4th. So I looked at it, and I looked at Lamar Jackson. Both Lamar Jackson and Mahomes were on the board when I took Jonathan Taylor and T.Y. Hilton. And I strongly considered going with one of them, but just given the room and reading the room, I knew that I would be able to get a usable quarterback late.
Lauren, I asked this question to Rich in the last group, but I also want to pose it to you. I know that this is an offseason unlike any other, in that we don't have preseason, and even training camp access has been limited by some teams. How has that changed your process at all this year? Are you less interested, more interested in rookies? Has it changed anything in terms of how you've been drafting in these last few weeks?
It has kind of turned me off even more so from rookies than I am in redraft. It's just this offseason, the inability to create reps is essential You know, like you can't build chemistry off of Zoom calls. No offense. I know we are developing really good chemistry right here, but it's not the same on the football field, you know? So that does worry me. There is also a possibility that it becomes rookies come in and save the day. You never know. So my strategy has been slightly altered. I am finding myself leaning more towards backups, especially for the running back position, and maybe drafting an extra quarterback just to be on the safe side if there are some, talent, or there is still talent left towards the end of those drafts. Like Matt Stafford and Matt Ryan were some of the later round ones I was keeping my eye on out. But that's kind of how I'm changing it. Not too drastic, but just enough where it does change some of those late round picks.
Well, Denny, we just passed one of those late round picks for you. It's JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I also want to reiterate, and I missed this when you were up on the clock, your Cam Newton is somewhat of a stack with James White. I actually really like James White where you selected him.
Thank you. That's very nice. You're the first person in the whole industry to compliment my James White pick, because I've been getting raked over the coals for it, and maybe rightfully so. But yeah, I don't mind James White, especially the way that I'm putting together my team here. Also, another thing about Cam is he has a pretty good early season schedule, if I remember correctly. So, if he doesn't shape up as like an every week starter, which I think he will in a 12-team league, he would just be droppable, and you could work the waiver wire here. My last pick is coming up here in a minute, and I think you won't believe this, Josh, but I was considering taking another backup running back, or third or fourth string running back. This time it might be Dare from Tampa.
Okay.
Some might know him as Dare. So I think I'm going to take him just in case. When you are targeting these late round running backs, you do want to have them in good offenses, in high scoring offenses, and offenses that will see at least some neutral and positive game script. And I think, Tampa is a pretty good candidate to see that kind of game script that would be beneficial to a running back. He's not going to see much if this season starts right now, many touches per game. But he would just kind of be a stash for now. And I don't really see anybody else. Maybe Gus Edwards comes off as that sort of play as well. More so than Justice Hill. And Jalen Richard possibly, but he's not going to see any carries no matter what happens.
I'm really asking you guys to go deep with this final round. So I'm stressing the expert label here. So you went with Dario Ogunbowale, and I'll just circle back here before we move on with the Cam Newton and namely James White. I really like James White this year. I mean, the only issue is I think he's going as the running back 32, and he's my running back 33. So I'm basically just with consensus with him. Meanwhile, Damian Harris, who's climbed in the last 2 weeks, is still going around the running back 50, but in this draft went less than a full round later than Damian Harris. So I'll have him closer to running back 44. All right, Lauren, we're coming back on to your pick in a few. Who were a few of your target selections that maybe some other people? You mentioned Chris Herndon, and then you pivoted over to Blake Jarwin. Is there anyone else that you just missed out on in this draft?
Everyone past the, I think, 5th round for everyone else's team is who I was with. So yeah, it was having fun getting sniped left and right. There's a lot of players in here. I think for my own team really quick, I'm loving that Russell Wilson, even though he was high for me. I usually really like waiting on quarterbacks too, but I couldn't help it for some reason. It was calling my name. So right now I'm actually looking to draft another quarterback because I can, and it's COVID, and maybe I'll need to have another quarterback. Hopefully they both don't get sick during the season. I don't know, but I'm going to go ahead and keep my eye on another late round quarterback. But whoever took Latavius Murray, we're gonna fight. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, be prepared to hear from me. I'm warning you now.
How did he drop so far? I was shocked that he was there.
I was too. I couldn't believe he was there. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, I hope no one else knows. And then boop, right off the board. I'm like, you kidding me? Oh,
you said that Russell Wilson spoke to you. What did he say? Like what made you pick Russell Wilson? I mean, we all want him to be unleashed this season, but even if that's not a possibility, him being selected, I believe, as the No, he's the quarterback 3. So you're the third person to select a quarterback here.
Yeah. Russell Wilson actually had his wife sing to me. I heard it through my earphones right here that are stuck in my eardrums. She was like, draft me. So I was like, okay, I have to now. But no, I like Russell Wilson. I really like what he can do with his feet. I like the talent around him. And I have Tyler Lockett too, I believe. So I like that stack. And again, I just picked up Ben Roethlisberger as my very last pick. Actually, I was going to target Antonio Brown. That's kind of in deeper drafts with a little bit bigger bench. I have been taking Antonio Brown just in case. Just in case. You never know. If I have the space to spare it, why not stash him? So I don't know. But this was interesting being with all of you smart experts here. I was decent at drafting. Now I feel like I need to go I don't know, feel better about myself and listen to sad music.
No, I think everyone had some picks that they loved and they didn't. I want you all to stick around if you can for a moment after this and run through your teams. But JJ, you are the last pick of this 16-round PPR draft. I mean, are you going to bring it home for us?
Yeah, I mean, look, so I have Chris Godwin on my team already, so I can get the stack with Tom Brady. There's really 2 paths for quarterbacks to have elite upside in fantasy football. One of them is via their legs and what they can do on the ground running, which we've seen, with Lamar Jackson, but obviously he did it with his arm too last year. But it's also just to see, if they can get an unsustainable touchdown rate. That's the other way they can be a true top 3, top 5 guy. I think Tom Brady has that in his range of outcomes given the weapons that he has. So going with Tom Brady here, hoping that he can get that 30 touchdown season in him. I don't think it's likely per se, but I think it's at least in his range of outcomes.
And not only do you have Chris Godwin, you also have Rob Gronkowski. So
that's right. I forgot I have Gronk too. Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. All right. Can you guys hang around for 3 minutes and we can run through each of your teams? Does that work?
Yeah.
Why don't we go with you first, Denny? Again, this was euphoria for you. I mean, this was a dream scenario. Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, DJ Chark, and Tyler Lockett as your first 4 selections. You have locked in those top 4 wide receivers. After that, Zach Ertz, David Johnson, Jamison Crowder, James White. I mean, this run of running backs and Chase Edmonds, A.J. Dillon, Tony Pollard, Latavius Murray, so on and so forth with Cam Newton as your quarterback. Give me the highs, Denny, and give me the lows.
So I'm not a big tight end guy. I'm not, keying in on the top 2, Kittle and Kelsey. And I don't usually stumble into Andrews. But if Andrews or Ertz fall, well past their ADP, I'm fine taking them. And Ertz is boring. JJ has made this very clear. Ertz is boring, but it's 130 tight end targets most likely. And, getting him in the 5th, it was not my plan at all. I never would have thought that I would do that, but he was there. So I took him, and then I kind of shifted mostly to running back. So that was an unexpected pick, one that I just don't usually end up making. I feel like I stacked up enough of these late round running backs so that I have a chance for 1 or maybe 2 of them to be useful, if not for the whole season, then part of the season. If one of the running backs in front of them misses a few weeks and then they become useful. And that's all you really need, is just some serviceable running backs to go along with what hopefully would be a dominant set of receivers. So for instance, I think I have Tyler Lockett as my wide receiver 4. Maybe, yeah. So, that's not bad. Although,
no.
Obviously that the sacrifice is that David Johnson is my RB1. So,
well, but you also, Jamison Crowder is your wide receiver 5, and he might end the season with 125 targets. So I think you could do worse in your wide receiver 5 in that scenario. It's basically what we talked about in a previous show, Denny, of the draft tips you should follow. And you definitely advocate for 0 running back. And look what you did here. All right, let's go to Lauren Carpenter's team. Her quarterback, Russell Wilson, Keenan Allen, Michael Gallup, Emmanuel Sanders as her 3 wide receivers. Running backs, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones, and then both the flex right now, Chris Carson and Phillip Lindsay, Hunter Henry at tight end, and then a bench right now of Curtis Samuel, N'Keal Harry, Randall Cobb, Blake Jarwin, and John Ross, among others, including Ben Roethlisberger as the backup quarterback. Lauren, I know, again, everyone in this draft had picks they wish they could take back, but overall, what's the feeling of your team?
I actually like my team, but I have to just say real quick, Denny, we're going to fight twice now because I thought I had Tyler Lockett, and then I remembered you sniped him from me as well, which is I wanted to have the Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson stack, which didn't happen. So I think that's the one I'm the most upset about missing out on. So sorry I ended up thinking I had your player, but really he's actually mine. But I'm lending him to you.
That's, that works. That works. I mean, I can.
Right. Just so we're on the same page. Just
I can hand them back. And I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pick a fight with these picks.
Yeah, I think you're going to be 0 for 2, Denny, on that front too, by the way. So
watching you. I don't really think there's a pick here that I didn't like or I didn't care for. And whatever this David Johnson nausea is, Denny, fight number 3 coming right here, right now. But yeah, so my wide receivers, I think, are a little bit weaker than what I would have wanted, but that's what happens when you take 3 running backs in a row. But I don't hate it. I mean, I'm surprised Keenan Allen is as far down in the draft as he is, and I'm happy to have him as my wide receiver 1. I did grab Greg Ward from the Eagles, just in case. A lot of these are just in case picks, but I really like my starting squad, so I'm happy with it.
All right, JJ, let's close out with you. Let me pull it up right here. This was the 101 selection, so there's a little bit of an advantage heading in. Maybe a little bias I showed towards JJ here since we're both, I guess, JJ's at heart. Tom Brady, again, the final selection. One of us is good, one of us is bad. We'll let you decide. Then Chris Godwin, Adam Thielen, T.Y. Hilton as the 3 wide receivers, Christian McCaffrey and Jalen Taylor at 2 running back, T.J. Hawkinson and Gronk, depending, at tight end. Then, again, your flexes, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Cooks, and then a bench of Tariq Cohen, Damian Harris, Darrell Henderson, Duke Johnson, some real upside running backs there. JJ, what's the outlook here?
Yeah, I mean, look, I did what I wanted to do for sure. You have that luxury when you're at the 101, when you're taking Christian McCaffrey to be that anchor at running back for you, and then you can sort of pick and choose your RB2. And I didn't really think that I was going to get a Jonathan Taylor type there. He's one of the few, him and like James Conner, maybe Chris Carson, one of the few RB2s that I'm actually interested in this year, because I do think that, by week 4 or 5, Jonathan Taylor, just given his talent, given his profile, could easily just take over that backfield. My outlook with Jonathan Taylor is I'm not going to let Marlon Mack stop me from drafting Jonathan Taylor this year. So behind that offensive line, he could do a whole lot. So I like Jonathan Taylor a lot. And then, like you said, I just tried to throw some high upside darts with the running backs on my bench. I will say I probably reached a little bit for Damian Harris, but that's sort of what you have to do when you're at the turn in these drafts. But I do think that Harris has the kind of upside. I mean, we're seeing reports out of Patriots camp, of him being sort of a Sony Michel plus, where he's able to at least catch some passes out of the backfield, and maybe that'll hurt Denny's boy James White a little bit. So I do like Damian Harris more than I expected to entering the season for sure, just given the fact that historically, running backs in particular who don't perform well their rookie season generally don't go on to have very great fantasy careers. And Darrell Henderson kind of fits that bill as well, but their costs are the way they are because of that. So, they're a little bit attractive from that standpoint.
Well, we did it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Our 16-round, let's call it industry draft. Denny, JJ, thank you so much. Lauren, so great to meet you. If anyone out there wants to follow Lauren on Twitter at Stepmom Lauren, she writes for Fantasy Footballers. She's also writing for Rotoworld. So we're really excited to have her this season as well. JJ's podcast, Late Round Podcast. It's pretty good. Go and listen to that if you want to. And Denny, we'll talk soon. Thanks so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. And everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. This was a bit of a leap of faith, but again, the 12 people that joined us really made it worth our while. It was fascinating to me to see the different processes, the different ways to construct teams. Again, if you're listening to this on the podcast version and want the YouTube version, just go over to NBC Sports' YouTube page and vice versa. Again, we have so many podcasts logged on the Rotoworld Football Podcast from this entire summer that can help you out. And hopefully help you win your league. Go back into that backlog and listen to those. And one more shout out for our premium products, our draft guide and our season-long tools, annual or monthly. That is rotoworld.com/edge, and use promo code DRAFT10 to get $10 off. That is going to do it for us here. Thank you to producer Chris. I am Josh Norris. We will talk to you all later in the week. Up the Villa. Talk to you soon.